What if I told you that the US government is now directly supporting quantum computing stocks with massive funding initiatives, and one company that is suddenly getting a lot more attention is none other than INFQ, which is having a massive day, gapping up like crazy, and has been up as much as 35% on the day. Now, what we're going to be breaking down, both me and you together, is we're going to be talking about this um, article that just came out, the massive $100 million announcement for INFQ. We're going to talk about the entire quantum market as a whole and why the stocks in that market have been exploding today. We're going to talk about NVIDIA's connection to INFQ and whether this is a real long-term opportunity or just another speculative hype cycle. What's going on, guys? My name is David-InvestQ. If you do enjoy the content related to quantum and all other AI growth stocks, please comment below if you do enjoy the content and what it is you want to see in future upcoming videos. And please hit the like and subscribe button, as I do appreciate the support from you guys. Now, what we got to talk about when it comes to INFQ is because this stock and the entire quantum sector exploded today. And by explode, I'm talking about big days. I'm talking about INFQ has been up over 33% today, give or take, roughly 34%. QBTS right now is up 26%. Riggedy, it's up 25%. IonQ is currently up 12%. And LAES is currently up 15.6%. So everything in the quantum sector is having an absolutely massive day. And that is tied to, if you just simply look up on Google, why is quantum stocks up big, you'll see here that CNBC did post an article, and that article is talking about how quantum stocks soar as the U.S. reportedly plans a $2 billion award and taking equity stakes. And Inflection, specifically as an individual stock, announced this $100 million contract news in proposed fund, or not contract, but $100 million in proposed funding. And this is one of the biggest macro catalysts we've seen for quantum stocks in a while. Not just for one stock, individually, which we are seeing with INFQ, and that is what we're going to be talking about today, but also the quantum sector as a whole. And what's happened today is quantum stocks have absolutely ripped higher. Again, I already talked about QBTS is flying, Riggidy's flying, IonQ's flying, INFQ, bigger than all of them today, 35% on the day. But according to the reports, according to this report right here, this is the main catalyst that's driving the entire sector to go up the way that it is. And Inflection, in relation to the announcement of a letter of intent with the Department of Commerce for up to $100 million in proposed funding. The goal is, and when we talk about the article itself and summarize the summary of it, and just to highlight the summaries and the key takeaway points, and again, do your due diligence, read the report yourself, but just the highlights that I noticed when I read this is about that their goal is specifically tied to quantum computing, photonics, hardware, software, national security, and advanced computing infrastructure. And why this matters is because governments do not throw around this kind of money unless they believe the technology is strategically important. And quantum computing is increasingly being viewed as an economic advantage, a national security advantage, and potentially one of the next major technological races. And another thing that was mentioned is the fact that what stood out to me is the fact that INFQ specifically mentioned collaborations with NVIDIA, and the company has discussed integrating NVIDIA AI models and their GPU supercomputing into quantum workflows. That is a big deal, guys, and that's important. Why do you ask? Because NVIDIA is basically becoming the infrastructure backbone for next generation computing. And another huge part of the article is the fact that what they mentioned was DARPA, the Department of Energy, NASA, and if that's not enough, they also mentioned the Department of Defense. And that immediately tells you this isn't just some random speculative startup trying to ride hype. they're actually involved in government-related programs. And what INFQ alone, if you guys aren't familiar with what inflection does, in simple terms, inflection focuses on the big, the big kahuna when it comes to computing right now, which is quantum computing, quantum sensing, and neutral atom technology. And one of the things they emphasize is room temperature quantum systems. And that is important because scalability and real world deployments are massive challenges in quantum computing. And when it comes to INFQ, the bull case for the stock is pretty straightforward. They got growing government and interest and investments, increasing geopolitical competition. So they're in higher demand right now. And, everybody hears about how China is trying to win in the quantum race and the US wants to beat them. You've heard a bunch of the things in the headlines. And there's a lot of national security demand. As I mentioned, they're in high demand, and quantum and AI integration. So that goes along with the future being AI and how they're trying to integrate two very high demand sectors, two things that are in very high demand in the market. They're going to be integrating together, and that's a big deal. And early positioning in a sector that could become massive long term. There's many people that do think that this is just a bubble, but when you do look at some of from an institutional interest, from a government interest, and how they're becoming in higher demand, and how the US government is willing to fund this much capital into the sector as a whole, that is telling that they do see some real world value, some real world usage, and real world applications from the products and the services that these quantum computing and quantum companies are offering as a whole. And honestly, once governments start competing for technological leadership, funding can accelerate very quickly. Again, just today, as we mentioned, quantum stocks soar as US reportedly plans $2 billion award. If you enjoy my content, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you ever need help making better decisions with investing, simply take a look at the first link below to get access to my community and support yourself with like-minded investors and get access to the world's leading AI models, Claude, Gemini, OpenAI, and Grok. Get all of this software for $7 in my community, and my community is free. Now, what do we always talk about in this YouTube channel? We do not marry a stock. I've been talking about the INFQ and the quantum market as a whole in a very bullish tone, but you also got to take into consideration the bear case when it comes to any market, any sector, any individual stock. And the fact is, we also need to be realistic when it comes to INFQ and quantum. The bear case for these stocks is quantum computing is still highly speculative. Commercialization timelines may take years. Profitability is uncertain, and these stocks can become extremely volatile, and not everybody has the stomach to be able to handle this type of volatility. And a lot of these names are still trading heavily on future expectations, not necessarily on things they have executed on today. It's not about the story of what these companies and these quantum computing companies are today, but what it could become in a longer time frame. And an important note that I want to let you know is the fact that where I think people need balance is I don't think quantum computing has fully proven itself yet the way mainstream media sometimes hypes it, even though I am bullish when it comes to quantum. But I also don't think it's fair to dismiss the entire sector as fake, useless, or just a bubble. And these are clearly major governments and major technology companies investing heavily into this space. So that does show that there is value, that there's people in higher up positions and institutions and government roles that find real world value with these stocks and these companies. And what makes today even crazier is that the broader market was actually somewhat weak. If we take a look at the heat map on FinViz, one second, guys. Yeah, I'm just going to pull this up for you guys. Oh, nope, wrong one. Sorry. Oh, I can't. Oh, idiot, I already had it up here. Yeah, so when we take a look at the heat map as a whole, there's many other sectors that are weak. You got semiconductors looking weak. Defense is looking pretty weak today. What else is there? Um, there's other places that are doing pretty good. I mean, let's see. But overall, the so two big sectors that a lot of people talk about when it comes to semiconductors and defense, those ones are looking pretty weak today. And treasury yields also were rising. Semiconductors were mostly red, and Nvidia was down after they had a positive earnings. And going back to the treasury yields, as me and you both know, when yields rise, that means people like to be a little more risk off and flow money. Institutions like to flow money into safer assets, not into something speculative like quantum. So on a day like this, and quantum leading the market the way that it is, that's a big sign that even in a risk off environment, people are still willing to invest into quantum computing. And personally, I think INFQ becomes interesting because it's not just pure meme momentum, it's not just hype. You're seeing government involvement, national security relevance, NVIDIA collaboration, and real world research partnerships. And that gives the story a lot more credibility than just social media hype. And I want to know, in closing, what do you guys think? Because I want to know, do you believe that quantum computing is the next major technological revolution, or is it still just mostly hype right now? And out of all the quantum stocks, when it comes to INFQ, QBTS, um, Ion, INFQ, Riggedy, or LAS, which one are you watching the closest? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to InvestQ for more coverage on AI stocks, quantum stocks, defense stocks, and small cap government opportunities. And remember, none of this is financial advice. These are extremely volatile and high risk stocks, so always manage your risk accordingly. And I do appreciate you watching. And InvestQ out. Stay safe. Keep making good decisions with your long-term portfolios, and keep sticking to your thesis when it comes to your shorter-term trades. And I'll see you all in the next video.